What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hoopers Lounge podcast with myself and Max. On last Friday, the annual NBA Cup tipped off, and we're going to provide our reaction to the opening day of group play. There were some interesting storylines in there. The teams, once again, played harder than they do in an initial regular season game, which I think is the goal of the NBA Cup. So that's a good look for the NBA as a whole. But before we get into that too much, we're going to pick up where we left off last episode with the Bucks and Warriors matchup, which we were hyping up, and it was an overall good game. I mean, I came away very happy. I don't know how happy Max was, but the Bucks, without Giannis Antetokounmpo, went and beat a healthy Golden State Warriors squad, which I think is a huge development for the Bucks, and I'll talk about that a little later. Max, I want to hear your takeaways from the game.
Yeah, I mean, as a Warriors fan, a little disappointed. I thought the big three played really well, Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy, but they just lacked depth in that game. I thought the bench was really bad, and they got outplayed by Milwaukee's bench. And this was something that I was concerned with heading into the season with the Warriors was, after that vaunted starting lineup, where are they going to find offense? And not only in this game, but they then went after the Bucks loss and lost to the Pacers on the road, who didn't have a win. And so the Warriors losing back-to-back games to teams that they should have beaten, in my opinion, definitely kind of, jolted the system and gave us a good wake-up call, I think, that we're not just going to, you have to show up every night and make shots and make plays. So I thought the Bucks played really well. I mean, they deserved to win that game. I'm pretty sure they led for the entire game. They wasn't really the Warriors were clawing back, keeping it close the whole game, but I don't think they ever had control. And Milwaukee, just great game. Yeah, there's not much else I can say about that.
Yeah, the Warriors losing to the Pacers, who not only have lost Halliburton and Miles Turner to various injuries and departures, but they were also without Andrew Nemhar that game, who was your most improved player pick. So a very depleted Pacers squad went out and beat a fully healthy Warriors team, which I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on crowning the Warriors the second best team in the West right now, because those two losses were a little eye opening on the lack of depth the Warriors have, aside from Steph, Kuminga, and Jimmy Butler. If one of those three have an off night, it seems the Warriors offense can't get anything going. So that's a big development to watch for the rest of the season. As for the Bucks, we were expected to have this issue coming into the year. It was supposed to be Giannis and company. It was supposed to be Giannis is going to carry us to wins and losses, and our season was going to go with him for better or for worse. Well, breaking news: the Bucks have depth, and as a Bucks fan, that is an absolutely thrilling development. Ryan Rollins is making a very, very early case for most improved player. He has been balling out the last couple of games, and the Bucks look like they have a potential point guard of the future in Ryan Rollins, or at the very least until Kevin Porter Jr. can get healthy again. AJ Green, absolute sharpshooter, put him in the three-point contest. Even with Gary Trent, who was the second best playoff player last year, having a bit of a rough start to the year, the Bucks are still putting together wins, and that is a very good sign in a depleted Eastern Conference. I think we have all underestimated the Bucks, and I think they are at the top of the tier in the Eastern Conference and could very well compete for an NBA title appearance.
Yeah, I think still the key to their success is going to be Giannis. I mean, he's putting up video game numbers right now.
Absolutely.
And yes, they had the big win without him, but I don't see that being sustainable, especially at the end of the season. So Giannis continuing to put up near 30-point triple doubles every night, I think, is going to keep them afloat. And if that's what works for them this year, good for them. But I still think I wouldn't consider them in the top tier of the East. I definitely think they're above where we thought. I agree with that. But I would still have the Knicks and the Cavs probably in a tier by themselves right now. Hopefully, Garland is projected to make his debut tomorrow, so that should be a big boost for the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they haven't started too hot, but I still think those two teams are probably ahead of everyone else early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Cavs haven't started great, but Donovan Mitchell has been off to a hot start. And I think if Garland can reintegrate seamlessly, this Cavs will be very similarly talented to the squad that we saw win 64 regular season games last year. Speaking of players off to a hot start, Giannis Antetokounmpo could very well win his third MVP to the start that he is on. And I gotta say, maybe I'm a little biased here because he is my favorite player, but I think his career has become so criminally underrated because we have gotten so used to the insane numbers he puts in and year out. There is one player in NBA history who has averaged over 30 points on over 60% shooting. That is Giannis, and he has done that 3 times. This year, he is on pace to have 34 points per game on over 65% shooting from the field. This Giannis, by sheer statistical output, is the most efficient scorer in the league. And if it wasn't for his blatant weakness, which is shooting, especially at the free throw line, we would be talking about Giannis as the clear-cut best player in the NBA and the leading candidate for MVP as of right now.
I completely agree. I think he's leading the MVP race right now. Just take last night, for example, 33, 13, and 5, and a buzzer beater.
On 17 shots, by the way.
Is routine for him. Like, that was one of his, not worst games of the season, but he's had better performances than that this year already. And so just the dominance he plays with is so fun to watch. And just the way that teams cannot guard him. It looks like he got stronger this year than he has in years past, which is crazy, just based on how big and how strong he already was. But I think Giannis right now is the front runner. He should be the front runner for MVP at this moment, and it'll be hard to catch him, I think, if this production keeps up.
Yeah, agreed. I'm excited to see what Giannis and the Bucks do the rest of the season as a Bucks fan and just as a basketball fan. They were definitely a team to watch just because Giannis was handed the entire keys to the offense, and we were going to win or lose through him. So it is nice to realize that the Bucks do have some depth aside from Giannis, but I agree with your take completely. We are still going to – our season is going to go as far as Giannis takes us, and it's going to be interesting to see how far one of the best players of this generation can take the Bucks.
Yeah, I only hope that they don't wear him out in the regular season. I would be concerned about that. If you have to use 110% of Giannis just to get a top 4 seed and then he burns out in the playoffs, I really hope I don't see that because he is doing everything for the Bucks.
The past 3 years, the Bucks have gotten out in the first round. In the past 3 years, we haven't had a healthy playoff. So I agree. We need a healthy Giannis and an overall healthy roster going into the playoffs. With that being said, let's go into the NBA Cup, which unfortunately didn't feature the Bucks on day one, but featured 8 other games in action across group play. So, Max, looking at the games, which result stands out to you the most? Which individual performances stood out to you the most? What did you take away from the week 1 of the NBA, or day 1, sorry, of the NBA Cup?
Yeah, so I was in Clemson on that Friday, and I got to watch the Celtics 76ers game, and so I'll talk about that. I actually did watch that game, and the Celtics, that was one of the most efficient performances I've ever seen from a team on Friday night. Now, they only won that game by 1, but they were up by 20 in the second half, and if it weren't for a furious 76ers comeback, that game would have been a lot farther away. I was really impressed with Peyton Pritchard in particular. He started the game off red hot, and he was doing it getting to the mid-range, which is something I didn't know he had in his bag. But he was hitting post fades. He was hitting pull-up jumpers. And Peyton Pritchard, I thought, had a really good game. I also thought Boston's bench was phenomenal, just totally dominating Philadelphia's bench. When Maxey or Edgecombe, when both of them were not on the court, the Sixers just got dominated. And it's weird watching the Sixers because Embiid was on a minutes restriction for that game, and it's just weird watching him not be the focal point of the Sixers. Maxey and Edgecombe obviously, provide a lot of offense, but Embiid is still, I would say, the heartbeat of the team. Like, he's still the driving force I think that teams prepare for night in and night out. Like, you have to prepare for Joel Embiid, and it's just weird watching him only touch the ball, 1 every 3 possessions as opposed to every single time down the court like he was a few seasons ago. So that game really stood out to me. Again, I was very excited about Boston. I think they are one of the more underrated teams in the league. They're very well coached. Their depth players are going to play well the rest of the year, and that was kind of my main takeaway from Friday's NBA Cup action.
The fall off of Embiid needs to be studied. It was just 3 years ago that he won an MVP and was considered one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant, scoring forces in basketball, and arguably in NBA history. And you look at now, 3 years later, the team isn't even running through him, and he's playing no more than 25 minutes a game and putting up bench player numbers. It's just a crazy fall off to see from a guy who was, for a very short time, the best player in the league. Admittedly, I didn't watch any NBA action on Friday. It was Halloween, and I was partaking in other activities, we'll say. So strictly box score watching here, but Jaylen Brown once again coming through with 32 points, showing that he once again can carry the number one option in light of Tatum's injury. The Celtics got off to an awful start at 0-3, but looking at as of Friday's score, they are 3-3, coming off that win against the Sixers. They've clawed their way back to 500, and the Celtics are looking like the Celtics that we all expected to see. Maybe not in the upper echelon of East teams, but right there with them to make the playoffs and make the best team sweat it out. They're just going to be a thorn in the side of the elite of the East all year. The result that is most surprising to me looking at the scores is the Bulls beating the Knicks by 10 points. The Bulls we talked about in our last episode as a surprise undefeated team, and neither of us expected their run to last. They did lose a few days later, bringing the record down to 5-1. But in a situation like the NBA Cup, where you're playing with a heightened intensity compared to, I don't know, game 60 of the regular season, it was very interesting to see the Bulls not only able to keep up, but straight up win against a team that we expected to be a top contender in the East, in the New York Knicks. I mean, the Bulls are playing incredible team basketball. Josh Giddey showed out with 32 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists, putting up a near triple-double. And that contract that he signed over the offseason is looking more and more like a bargain by the day. He's only making $25 million a year and is putting up and is averaging almost a triple-double. So that Giddey contract is looking great for the Bulls. In terms of the rest of the team, Vucevic putting up 28 points. They had 4 other players in double scores. Ayo Dosunmu had 22 off the bench. And this Bulls squad just looks incredibly well-rounded, more well-rounded than any of us would have thought. And I'm still not high on their chances as a championship contender, nor am I high on their chances of even getting out of the first round. But the Bulls are showing that they might be a team to talk about in the Eastern Conference and beating the Knicks in a heightened, intense environment.
Yeah, we talked about the Bulls a little bit in our last episode about how shocked we were that they were undefeated, and this was, one of their most recent examples of why they're undefeated. They are, like you said, well-rounded, great depth. They're missing 2 of their better players in Zach Collins and Kobe White, who haven't played a game yet this season. So I expect them to help. And while you were mentioning most improved player, let's throw Josh Giddey's name in there. I mean, this guy, you could throw him in the MVP conversation right now, the way he's playing, with how good the Bulls' record has been. I mean, Josh Giddey is averaging some stupid numbers. And let me look him up real quick. But I was more concerned about the Knicks in this game. I don't know how, as a defensive team, you give up 135 points in an NBA Cup game. I know Brunson's not a great defender, but when you have Mikal Bridges, OG, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, all these boys, like, you should not be giving up 135 points. So that is, I think, where I'm most concerned from this game is the Knicks defense. Because if you score 125 points in an NBA game, you should win every time, I think.
Agreed.
And
Giddey, by the way, is averaging 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists per game. So I wouldn't say MVP numbers, but definitely all-star consideration.
I think when you look at the rest of the roster, I definitely think that constitutes as MVP level. Josh Giddey's doing it all for them.
He's the best player in the roster, yeah, but I'm not going to sit here and say the MVP should go to a player averaging 22 points elite in a game.
But it's more than that. I mean, it's just more than that. And I'm not saying he should be the MVP. I'm saying he should be in the conversation. Most valuable player to his team, Josh Giddey is right up there with Austin Reeves, right up there with Giannis, right up there with Wemby right now.
Okay, we cannot be putting Josh Giddey in the same discussion as Giannis and Wemby. Giannis and Wemby are both averaging over 30 for their teams, over 12 rebounds apiece. Giannis is averaging a near triple-double and has the same exact record as the Bulls. And
the Bulls have one loss.
And both of them.
The Bulls have one
loss. Okay,
loss.
The Bulls have 2, my bad. But they both also contribute much more on the defensive side of the ball than Josh Giddey does. Giddey's taken a step. Yes, he should be an all-star. But talking about him like he's an MVP, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Through the first
let's slow down.
2 weeks of the season, he is in the MVP conversation. Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's like 7th place. He's like 7th place in the MVP conversation. If you want to call that in the conversation, then sure we can. But he's not top 5. I wouldn't vote for him.
You don't think he would be top 5?
No.
Okay.
Right now, Giannis, Wemby, Luka, Shea, and
Reeves.
You can still throw in Austin Reeves in there. Hell of it. Yeah. Those 5, I think, are indisputably better. And you could make a case for someone like Tyrese Maxey or even, hell, Jaylen Brown.
Interesting. I think Giddey's been more impactful than the last 2 names you just mentioned, but we'll save that. Hopefully he keeps it up so I can keep, mentioning Josh Giddey MVP.
That's a crazy narrative to be holding, but I respect it. I respect the bold takes here. We like that on the Hoopers Lounge.
He's been great. There's no disputing that he hasn't been great.
He has been great. He's been an all-star, and that's great for Josh Giddey, but mentioning him in the same discussion as Giannis and Wembanyama and Shea with the seasons that they are having and the individual performances they have been putting up, I think it's a little blasphemous. He's not putting up Austin Reeves numbers yet.
No, he's not, but he's also put up better numbers than Shea. I mean, like, come on. Shea's not averaging a triple-double. Come on, he's not. He's not getting the rebounds and assists that Giddey is.
Because there's other people on the team that do. Shea's one job is to score, and he gets 30 points every single night. Shea is a walking 30 bucket guaranteed.
Yeah, but he shoots 20 free throws a game too. Like, come on.
Yeah,
like, what are we doing here?
And trust me, I hate the free throw baiting as much as you do. Okay, but let's look at Prime Harden. He was one of the most notorious foul baiters at his time, and everyone hated on him for it. But when you look back at Prime Harden, you don't remember the foul baiting. You remember the elite step-back 3. You remember Ricky Rubio guarding him from literally behind him because that was the best way to guard James Harden. That's what you remember. And yes, Shea's going to get a lot of hate now because he does take a lot of free throws. And when you're successful, you are going to get hate. But 10 years down the road, when we're looking back at Shea's prime, we're going to recognize him as one of the most creative and unguardable scorers in the league. Wembanyama is going to have something very similar is going to happen to him. He's unanimously loved right now. As soon as he starts getting consistent success in the league, he is going to get so much hate. It is going to be unreal. I'm sure there's going to be people saying he's a goaltending merchant or whatever. That's what comes with success. When you're successful in the league, you're going to get hate. Okay, and that's what's going on with Shea. But to say Shea has not had as much of an impact on the undefeated Oklahoma City Thunder as Josh Giddey does on the Bulls is straight up blasphemy, and I will not stand for that.
He is, you're right. He is having a great impact, but I'm just saying that his impact is so dependent on other people, aka the Zebras, that it's frustrating. Like, if the refs just swallowed their whistles for a full game, how many points is he going to score? 24?
He would still 26 because he's an absolute bucket. When he shoots 20 free throws, he only takes like 13 shots a game. His free throws come in the flow of action. He's not forcing it. He either takes 13 shots a game to 17 shots a game, and that comes based on how many free throws he takes. He won't go out of his way to take more shots if he's not getting the foul calls he's getting because he has an elite team around him. And yes, that's an advantage to Shea that not a lot of other NBA superstars can have. But we can't discredit the man for having a good team around him. That's great building by the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's just helping Shea's case.
Yeah, I think the way he plays is just by design to slow the game down and allow them to play great defense. I wouldn't say the guys around him are offensively gifted, other than Jalen Williams, who hasn't played yet this year.
And Chet Holmgren so far this year has looked like he's...
Yeah, he has, but no one really, gave him that label.
Okay, hold on. Don't sleep on AJ Mitchell either off the bench. He's a potential 6th man of the year. He has looked really good to start the year.
He has, and he's learning from Shea because he's foul baiting too, and I hate it. AJ Mitchell is foul baiting too.
Aaron Wiggins, dude.
They're all doing it. It's so frustrating.
Thunder team is learning how to foul bait.
All I'm trying to say is that if Shea didn't, if you cut his free throws in half, he would not be averaging what he's averaging, and that to me, I think, is indisputable right now. Again, that we've talked about it. It's a skill. Drawing fouls is a skill. I get that, but I don't know how much that skill should be brought into the best players in the league conversation. Like, I already think Jokic has overtaken him again as best player in the league. When we were having those conversations, I think Jokic has overtaken him. I think Giannis is a better player than Shea after what I've seen this year. And
agreed. I would take both Giannis and Jokic over Shea.
When I talk about a guy like Josh Giddey, I'm so high on him because he's actually enjoyable to watch play basketball, right? Like, he's dropping a 32-point damn near triple-double against the Knicks, I don't even know how many free throws he shot. Let me look. Just for the sake of argument. Josh Giddey shot 6 free throws. 6.
Mhm.
If Shea was shooting 6 free throws a game, he would not be averaging 30. He would not. We saw that when he was with the Clippers, and we saw that in his early days with OKC. Once he learned how to get to the
We
foul,
saw
once
we saw him with the Clippers when he was a rookie. Every player is going to improve from when they are a rookie.
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he hasn't always been this 30-point walking bucket. He developed into that because of his ability to get to the free throw line.
No player in NBA history came into the league as a 30-point walking bucket. Every single 30-point walking bucket developed into that.
LeBron.
LeBron did not come into the league averaging 30 points a game. Okay. Wait, let's calm down here.
He was the closest
this
thing.
is getting wild. First of all, yes, the closest thing, and he still was at 21 points a game, a full 9 points away from 30 points. The closest thing to 30 points a game as a rookie is still significantly farther away. LeBron had to develop into the force that he became. He didn't come into the league as an MVP. He didn't come into the league as a top 10 player. He developed into that. Every single player that has ever been an MVP, has ever put up 30 a game, they did not come into the league with the skill set that they had. They had to develop it. So knocking that on Shea, saying it wasn't part of his game, yeah, no shit it wasn't. Shooting wasn't a part of Anthony Edwards' game when he came to the league. Strength driving wasn't a part of Giannis's game when he came into the league, right? They become that as they mature, as they physically grow. And I just think knocking Shea for his rookie year skill set is you're nitpicking at this point.
I am nitpicking because I hate Shea, and I hate the way he plays basketball.
Okay, fair. Okay, at least you're aware of it.
He's ruining the way the NBA is being played, and it's not just him. I think he got it from guys like James Harden, but he's now carrying on the legacy, and it's really bad. It's bad. I don't like it.
I'm not the biggest Shea fan myself. I also don't like watching the way he plays. Watching him shoot 10 to 15 free throws a night is not the most entertaining thing as a basketball fan.
10 to 15.
But
that's generous. That's generous.
But I'm not going to sit here and say that Shea isn't one of the best guards, if not the best guard in the league. I'm not going to sit here and say Shea isn't a top 3 player in the NBA, because he is. And yes, it sucks that he's using foul baiting as a way to achieve success, but if I could get in the NBA by foul baiting, you best believe I would be at the line 20 times a game. He's doing what he's got to do. I respect it.
When did the Thunder last play? Have they not played in like a week? Oh no, right here.
The Thunder have played on they played the Pelicans on Sunday, blew them out of the water. Shea only played 3 quarters that game and still
he had
put up 30 points.
13 free throws in 30 minutes. So let's tack on another 10 minutes, 5 free throws. That's 18 free throws.
Yeah. Okay. I can't defend that. That's bad.
And I'm talking about a guy like Josh Giddey who had a third amount of those free throws, and he's still putting up the same amount of numbers. Okay. Like, it's in a game where he had 2 rebounds. Like, this is everyone's going to talk about Shea because he just won the Finals MVP and all that, and he's great. But I'm just trying to give recognition to the Austin Reeves and the Josh Giddeys of the world that are actually out there hooping. They're hooping. And Shea is not hooping. He's getting fouled, and he's making free throws. Good for him.
Okay, how about 13 of 13 from the line, though? Ball don't lie. Every single one of those must have been fouls. Ball don't lie. Okay. Jokes aside, okay. I do want to give love to Giddey because Giddey has shown out this season. I just don't think that it's fair to be putting him in the same conversations as the best players in the league.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Let's get on to another game. Looking at the box scores, another one that is catching my eye as a bit of a surprise. Your expected worst team in the Western Conference just defeated your expected NBA champion, the Portland Trailblazers, 109, Denver Nuggets 107 in the NBA Cup. Looking at the box score, Avdia led the team in scoring with 23. They had 5 other players in double figures. Klingon had 15 rebounds. Drew Holiday had 13 assists. Looking at the Nuggets, Jamal had 22. Jokic had 21. Jokic didn't have a triple-double. That's breaking news. I think it's the first time this season that he was held without a triple. Yeah, this was the 5th game. He had a triple-double.
I think you're right.
4.
Yeah.
So this was the first game this year that Jokic didn't have a triple-double. And I just want to say, I said the Blazers were going to find success this year because of their defense. And I think holding Jokic to a 21-point non-triple-double is the epitome of that. I think that shows exactly what the Blazers can achieve this year and how they are going to achieve it. Even with their whole off-the-court scandal going on with their former head coach, I think I even underestimated the Blazers, and I think you criminally underestimated the Blazers.
Are you sure? Are you
your thoughts
sure
on that?
about that? Are you sure I criminally underrated them? Because did you see who they lost to last night?
They still have a winning record, but no, I did not. Who did
They
lose
lost to
Either
the
Jazz or the Wizards,
they
I'm
lost to
guessing?
the Lakers without Austin Reeves, Luka, and LeBron. All three of
Who
them were
led
out.
the Lakers in scoring? That's
All
crazy.
all three of them were out last night, and you're at home, and you lose that game.
Yeah,
so-
123 to
So
115.
yes,
Wow.
I don't want to take away from their great win on Friday night in the NBA Cup against Denver. That was a great win, and
Okay,
their defense was great. But how do you lose to the Lakers, who probably are the worst team
You
in
know
the
why?
league without those three players?
you know why? It was the DeAndre Ayton revenge game. You got to give him a break there.
All right, he did
He
have a
put up
20.
29.
Yeah, he did have a 29-point double-double, but like
And
Rui-
Rui revenge game.
Rui had 28
It was
too.
storyline.
Oh my God, they gave up
I mean-
25
I
to
mean-
Nick Smith off the bench. Oh my God.
That's what I saw in league alerts, which was a surprise to me. Nick
All
Smith
right,
was
so-
not good with the Hornets. Came to the Lakers and immediately started balling.
All right, so
But
Portland, let's
yes,
pump the
I'm willing to
brakes on
say
Portland.
The Blazers are. I
Let's-
still think they're a play-in team, but
They're going to be better than
I
the
don't think
worst
they're
team
gonna
in the
finish.
West. All right, I can admit that. They're not going to finish 15th. But that is an inexcusable loss. Losing at home to
it is inexcusable. But
Just a
basically,
terrible
every team
team.
in the league has inexcusable losses throughout,
Mhm.
especially a young team like the Blazers. I mean, the Blazers have the capability to beat anybody, and they can lose to anybody. They're young, their development, and that's a telltale sign of it. I do think they're a play-in team. I think they're going to finish around 500 on the year, and that should be enough to get them at least a 10th seed, even in the loaded Western Conference. But yeah, the Blazers is playing scrappy basketball, man. It's fun
All
to
right.
watch. It's very 90s style basketball.
right now. They're only one game ahead of the Jazz. They're one game ahead of Phoenix, half a game ahead of the Clippers. The Kings are 2-5, but I don't really think they're that bad. The Pelicans are 0-6, and Dallas is 2-5. Other than that, I don't really see many teams in the West that Portland is better than right now. And I expect Dallas to pick it up. New Orleans sucks. I don't expect much out of them.
New Orleans is terrible. Oh my God.
Phoenix will probably be around 500, if not worse, and Utah will be the same. So it's still going to be hard for them to make the play-in tournament, I think.
It will still be hard because of just with how competitive the West is, but I think the Blazers are set up really well just with their defensive style of basketball. They can score 105, 110 points a game and still emerge victorious the majority of the time. In fact, that's probably their goal. I mean, if they can get to 110 with the defense they have, I'm sure the team would expect to win more games than they lose.
Yeah, I mean that's probably true. But I don't know how good their offense is
So
going to be.
what about the Nuggets? They were both of our champions, but seeing
Oh,
them
I'm not
struggle
worried.
in this first opening cup game, you're not worried at all?
No, I think David Adelman again, first year coach. I know he was the interim last year, but this is his first real year of implementing his system, not just telling the guys how to run Michael Malone's system. He's implementing his game. It's going to take a little bit of time. The new additions that we talked about in the offseason, I mean, obviously we knew they weren't just going to turn into, gods just because they're in a Nuggets uniform. That takes chemistry as well. And Nikola Jokic, if this is the worst numbers he's putting up, I'm not worried about Denver. I still think they have the best home court advantage just because of the altitude. And they are going to win a lot of games they shouldn't win just because of Jokic. So I am not worried about Denver. I think their seed may take a little bit of a hit. However, when it comes to the playoffs, I wouldn't bet against this team. I still think that they're very good, and I'm not particularly worried about Denver. I think they've won since they lost that game to Portland. Yeah, they won last night against the Kings. So I'm not too worried about him. Jokic 34, 7 and 14 last night. Yeah, I'm not worried about them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Denver's seeding is going to take a hit. I think Jokic's scoring is also going to take a hit just because I talked about this before. They're going to want to increase his rest and give Valanciunas more run in the regular season just to keep him fresh. So I don't think Jokic is going to be in MVP discussions, nor will the Denver Nuggets be the number 2 seed as I expected them to be. But I still like them as a potential NBA champion. I still feel good about that pick. Jokic, I still feel like, is one of the two best players in the world. I'm biased, so I'll give that title to Giannis right now, but Jokic is a close number two. And, I mean, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray are both still capable of popping off. They have better depth with Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway, Valanciunas. Yeah, this Nuggets team is going to be fine. It will take some time to integrate the new pieces and learn how to play under this new coaching system, but same as you. I'm not too worried about Denver.
Yeah, I agree. All right, transitioning to a team I wanted to talk about, and that's a team I feel like we haven't talked about since the offseason, and that's the Rockets. Durant and Şengün are insane together. I didn't think they'd have this good a chemistry. I thought they would struggle to share the ball, but the way that they're using Şengün and using Durant off the ball is very KD and Steph like, just with the way that they're able to share the ball and not hog it and clog up the offense. I was very surprised about that because I feel like in Brooklyn, Durant and Kyrie and Harden had a problem sharing the ball, and in Phoenix, Booker and Durant didn't work as we all thought it would. But this Şengün and Durant pairing, in my opinion, right now is the best 1-2 combo in the league. And I think that if they can keep up this just constant sharing of the basketball between the two of them, they are going to be very hard to stop in the West. And I feel like we haven't talked about Houston very much since, our preseason predictions.
Yeah, agree. We haven't talked much about Houston. They started the season off 0-2, and it seemed like the entire league just stopped talking about Kevin Durant on his new team. But since then, they've looked a lot better. Şengün has taken a massive leap up and is looking like a top 3 big man in the NBA so far. I do like what you said about putting KD off the ball and having Şengün kind of work on. And I like comparing it to Golden State. It felt very reminiscent to when Curry was willing to take that off-ball spot and let KD kind of be the main scoring option of the offense. It kind of feels like KD's returning the favor in a way. He joins his new team, but he immediately doesn't demand the ball to be the number one option. He'll let the all-star that they developed and that Houston developed on their own in Şengün be the number one option and continue to carry the load. And if they need to step up in the playoffs, they have an elite veteran KD that can do so. And Şengün, he's learned a thing or two from KD. I've seen him take some mid-range pull-ups, which was not in his bag at all last year. So it is cool to see KD mentoring the young guys on Houston's team and teaching them the skill set that he's learned over 17, 18 years in the NBA.
Yeah. And just looking at last night's box score, Houston improved to 4-2 after a win against Dallas. And any night that
on a 4-game win streak right now.
Yeah, any night that Amen Thompson scores 27 points, they're not losing. They're not losing.
Most improved player.
If he's scoring 25 points, they're not losing. I don't think, with how good they are defensively. And Kevin Durant and Şengün, Şengün had 26, Durant 21, and then Amen Thompson just hits you with a 27 piece. Like you're not beating that. So I'm very impressed with Houston, and I think for as much as people talked about them in the offseason, I feel like they're the most under talked about team right now, just because they started 0-2, but they're going to be just fine. And I still see them as a top 3 seed.
Agreed. 4-2, they're on a 4-game win streak right now. Kevin Durant, after game 2, said they're figuring it out, and it looks like 6 games in, they have already figured it out. This Houston team is going to be really, really good. And come playoff time, now that this young core had last year's experience in the loss to the Warriors and added a 2-time champion in Kevin Durant, it's scary how it's come to playoffs.
Yeah. I still see them as a top 3 seed, and I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the postseason. Yeah. Any other teams you want to discuss over the last couple days?
We can discuss how bad the Pelicans are because we both had them missing the playoffs, but wow, I did not expect them to be 0-6 and looking uncompetitive in most of their games.
Yeah.
I mean, Zion Williamson, for all the hype around Skinny Zion this season, Skinny Zion cannot score in the paint. I mean, he's having a lot more trouble moving people than he did when he was heavier, which, I mean, that kind of seemed like the obvious result, but I don't know why it didn't seem like a concern for anybody. It seemed like Zion would have the strength to figure it out, but I don't know. Skinny Zion just has not been the scoring efficiency, paint-dominant machine that we've seen him potentially be. And the rest of this roster, they all look like they've taken a step back. Trey Murphy, Herb Jones have looked like they've already checked out. They might be trade candidates at the deadline. Yeah, and this Pelicans team is going to need to undergo a full-on rebuild. They need to trade. There should not be a single player on their roster that is untouchable, except Derek Queen, because they don't even have a first-round pick next year. The Pelicans, they traded to the Hawks for Derek Queen.
Yeah, I think
and they're
you're right
0-6.
about that.
This franchise is so screwed. They can't do anything. They are trying. This is the Pelicans trying to win, by the way. This because they don't have any reason to tank. They're tanking for a first-round pick they don't have. This franchise is screwed. Wow. No, I'm praying for the fans in New Orleans.
They're gonna trade Zion at this rate, and this thought just came into my head. What if the Bulls are still good at the midseason point? Are they a team to make? Are they a move to make?
Issue is that
no, maybe not Zion. Maybe they go get Trey Murphy. Maybe they go get Herb Jones. Maybe they go get somebody like that. Like Trey Murphy on the Bulls, I think would be really good.
That would be a great thing because Giddey's one weakness is his lack of shooting, and I feel like with Zion there, that would just clog up the paint more for Giddey. But Trey Murphy is a premier 3-and-D player, so that would be a great addition for the Chicago Bulls.
The Pelicans' top tier talent, I think, is definitely on the move this year. Zion obviously
absolutely has to be. They cannot come into next year with the same roster and expect anything to be different.
Yeah, and I think Zion obviously the biggest name, but I'm just trying to think of teams that could use Zion, like Phoenix, maybe.
It's teams that could use, but also what team would be willing to give it up? Because I'm sure New Orleans is going to be looking for at least 2 first-round picks, but what teams would be willing to do that for this injury-prone big man who doesn't even play like a big man anymore?
Yeah.
Like Zion, like he's been healthy this year, but he's been just ineffective, and he hasn't looked like even like an all-star, which is really disappointing from what we've seen in his year 1, year 2, when he looked like the next coming of Shaquille O'Neal, a shorter Shaq. But yeah, Zion needs to be on the move this year. Jones, Herbert,
the Celtics
Murphy,
could use him too.
Alvarado. Yeah, literally anybody that the Pelicans can get picks for, they need to ship out because this franchise is in dire need of a full-blown rebuild.
I'm trying to, the Celtics could use him. The Heat, Zion on the Heat with Bam would be stupid.
It would. I think the Heat would be able to bring out the best of Zion too, which I would like that fit for both player and team.
A team I've mentioned that I think needs to make a move, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Him and Ant would be super fun to watch. I don't know how that would work, but that would be fun.
Spacing would be an issue with Gobert and Randall.
I think you'd probably have to package Gobert to get Zion. And then you play Naz Reid. You play Naz Reid and Zion.
Can Gobert even be viewed as a positive asset though with the contract that he's on? Like, what team is going to view Gobert positively? I don't know because
I'll tell you who could use him.
Player of the year gets cooked on every game-winning shot.
The Warriors could use a guy like Rudy Gobert. I'll tell you that very much.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right.
I would trade Al Horford and Quentin Post for Rudy Gobert right now if I could. I really would. Like, I know he can't score really, but with Steph and Jimmy and Draymond, he would have he'd be like Zaza Pachulia, but like 12 times better. Like, he would actually be good on the Warriors. I think he'd be good on a lot of teams.
I'll give you that. He would be a great Warriors fit. And teams that play through lob, that run the pick and roll a lot and provide a lot of lob options would be a great fit for Gobert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Spurs, but they don't need a center, obviously, with Wembanyama. No. But a team that plays like the Spurs, who run a lot of pick and rolls and try and feed it as high as they can to the big man, because that's really
the Clippers.
The only thing that Gobert can do offensively.
Could you imagine
James Harden,
Zubac and Gobert as a 1-2 punch? Yeah, you ain't scoring on that.
Yeah,
duo.
that'd be a stupid front court.
You're not scoring on that duo
unless you're a 7'4" demigod.
Interesting. I'm sure we'll talk about trades, like predicting trades and what trades we would make. What did I just lose?
Oh yeah, that'll come up. I mean,
in the future.
Speaking of trades, we've already seen Ja Morant make very questionable comments regarding his future and even his present with the Memphis Grizzlies, who are off to a pretty bad start this year, which I just got to say I predicted. So Ja Morant could also be a name that we see on the trade block very soon.
Yeah.
His time in Memphis appears to be coming to a rocky end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what more you want me to say about that. Ja obviously has all the off the court issues, but he's a great talent, and I still think a team will value that. Obviously, a guy I've been speaking of Memphis, I'm really disappointed in Jaren Jackson Jr. I thought this guy was like all-star level good. He's just he's a role player that happens to like he is a big man 3-and-D guy. That's really all he is, in my opinion, anymore. And I thought he'd develop a post game. He'd become a dominant force on both ends, kind of similar to like a Julius Randle type player, like
or even like Evan Mobley. I thought his development was similar to that.
But Jaren Jackson Jr. has just been so underwhelming recently, really just all season.
Yeah, but the Grizzlies, another team that might need to blow up their entire roster, and it's just interesting that the number 1 and 2 picks of 2019, no one would have predicted their careers going like this, especially after the second year that Ja Morant had. No one would have expected them, both players, Zion and Ja, to be potentially on the move going into their 6th, 7th year in the league.
Yeah, math. Yeah, don't do that again. Not on this show. Not on this show.
That was bad.
Not on this show.
I already am hating myself for doing that. All right. Let's get into our final segment of the episode, which we introduced last episode. And this time, Max is going to be quizzing me. We're not doing career points. We're instead doing career points per game, which will probably look similar, but will have some differences. So it should be interesting to see.
When I put together this list, this is much harder than what you gave me, I think. And I thought mine was hard, but just because the like differences between points per game.
Confidence.
I believe in you because I think you have ball knowledge. So I believe in you.
Okay,
but
I
like
that.
Some of these are off by like half a point, and it's just hard. Whereas you gave me ones that were off by like a couple thousand points. So before we get started, I want to ask you a question real quick and see if you know.
Okay.
What active player right now has the highest career points per game?
That would be Luka, isn't it?
Correct. Do you know what that is? What number that is?
I think it's in the 32s. I remember seeing like 32.9
28.7. So a little bit lower.
Wow, way off. Okay. Luka
so that gives you a benchmark.
28.7.
That is the highest
I appreciate that.
It goes. 28.7. And Luka is not on this list. So don't think that he's on this list. But everyone is lower than 28.7 on this list. And
are they above a certain point, or did you pick out some randos that have like
no? All right. So, no, these are all-star level players, and they're all currently playing basketball today.
Okay, they're all present players. Okay.
Yes, and they're all they've.
I might be able to make this work then. I can make this work as present day players.
All right. So, to start us off, Luka Doncic, higher or lower career points than Joel Embiid?
Well, considering that you just said he's the highest, I'm going to have to make a wild guess here and say that Joel Embiid is lower.
Correct. Joel Embiid, second highest among all active players at 27.6 points.
I guess it makes sense. I guess a lot of games.
27.6 points for Joel Embiid. So next up is Cade Cunningham, higher or lower?
Well, considering Joel is second, I'm going to make another wild guess and say lower.
All right, so Alex is off to a hot start here. Cade Cunningham averaging 22.1 points per game throughout his career.
Okay.
All right, so this is where it gets tricky. Cade Cunningham, 22.1, higher or lower than Nikola Jokic, career points per game?
Ooh. I know Jokic was a bit of a late bloomer, but he still had multiple seasons of 27-plus points per game scoring. And I want to say he was averaging 22 by year 3. I'm going to say Jokic is higher.
Wrong.
I'm not feeling great about that.
Jokic has a lower career points per game than Cade Cunningham.
That's crazy.
By 0.3 points. So, like, this is kind of the thing I was talking about. It's right there. It's right there. It's right there.
This is
21.8.
oh no.
21.8 for Jokic. So let's wrap that up to Jokic, 21.8, higher or lower than Anthony Davis. Another big man.
Anthony Davis came into the league as a near 20 points per game scorer. He hasn't had the scoring heights that Jokic has had, but I think him getting off to a better start earlier in his career is going to make Anthony Davis higher than Jokic.
Correct. Anthony Davis, 3 points higher at 24.1 points per game. So, yeah, AD, consistent 24 points a night, who throughout his entire career, very impressive. Up next, a guy who I wish we could be watching this season, Damian Lillard.
Dame actually won Rookie of the Year as like the 12th overall pick. So I know he had a good rookie. I don't know how much he averaged that year, but he became an elite scorer very quickly in the league. And I'm gonna say higher. I'm gonna say Dame's higher than Anthony.
Correct. Very good. I thought this was one of the ones you'd struggle with, but Dame with a whole point higher than AD, 25.1 points per game throughout his career. Yeah, one of the best scorers the game's ever seen, really. So Dame, obviously with his career high being in the 70s, that definitely helps as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, up next, in my opinion, the greatest scorer of all time, Kevin Durant, higher or lower than Dame.
What was Dame's number again?
25.1.
See, KD is I would also say the greatest scorer of all time, but he has been on so many stacked teams that he didn't have a need to score the ball as much because he had other All-NBA teammates that could also carry the load. Lillard, meanwhile, was the leading option on the Blazers for basically his entire career. I feel like this is a trick question, so I'm going to say Durant lower.
And he's overthought it, folks. Durant.
Oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh my god.
Durant,
I cannot believe I just said Durant.
I kind of teed you up when I said he was the
with me?
greatest scorer of all time. I kind of tried to tee you up for that one, and Alex just decided to swing and miss completely. Durant,
What is wrong?
27.2, a full 2 points higher than Damian Lillard throughout his career.
That was a miss.
Yeah, that was definitely a
I'll take
miss.
That one was bad. That's
all right.
A good look.
Up next, Kevin Durant at 27.2 career points per game, higher or lower than the second greatest player of all time, LeBron James?
LeBron's got to be lower than Kevin Durant.
Correct.
I'm going to say lower.
Correct. Do you want to guess by how much?
I'm willing to say a full point. I mean, LeBron, he hasn't averaged 30 points a year, I don't think. I think he had 1 year of averaging more than 30.
0.2 points. LeBron's averaged 27 points per game throughout his career.
Kevin, that is devious of you for him to put those two back to back. That is okay. All right.
But you got it right, dude. I knew you could get it. I knew you could get it.
I appreciate your faith. I appreciate it.
Up next, at 27 points even, LeBron James, higher or lower than your boy Giannis Antetokounmpo, career-long points.
Giannis was a late bloomer. He has averaged 30 points the last 3 years, but it also took him 3 or 4 years into the league to become even an all-star level player, averaging even 25 a game. So because of that late start, I'm going to say Giannis is lower.
Correct. A whole 3 points lower. Giannis only averaging 24 points
Makes
per
sense.
game throughout his entire career, which is nuts to think that the dude averages like 35 today, but throughout his entire career, his average is 24.
He was a late bloomer.
Yeah, that is nuts. All right, 2 more names on the list. Up next, Kyrie Irving. Yeah.
This is a tough one. Because Kyrie wasn't a late bloomer, but he's also never averaged 30. Like I would guess his scoring average is at like right around 24. God, it's gonna be like 0.2 points of difference again. I'm gonna say Kyrie's higher, but I think it's so close.
Yeah, Alex, you were all over it. He averages 23.7 points per game. So just lower. Alex, you were right there.
Come on.
You were right there. Knowing that
This is cruel. This is cruel
Yeah.
and unusual punishment.
And
This is just
another-
hurting my soul. 'Cause I feel right, and I'm just getting every single one wrong.
No,
I've only gotten 3 wrong. I've only gotten 3 wrong, but the
okay.
3 wrong, I still feel like
No,
my logic was there.
No, Kevin Durant logic was not there. That was not there.
Okay, you're right. That was bad. That was
Two of the
bad.
three,
Bad-
you've
bad
been
look
right
for the
there.
Hoopers Lounge.
2 of the 3 you've been right there. And another point about Kyrie, he's also never really been the number 1 option on his team other than his rookie year because of LeBron and then KD in Brooklyn and then Luka in Dallas. So
I just thought maybe his 1 or 2 years in Boston where he was the number 1 option, he was
yeah.
averaging 27, 28.
They were so loaded,
I thought
though.
that might have got him over the hump.
They had so many dudes
they
averaging
had
like
rookie
18
year,
points.
Second year Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, they had so many dudes scoring like 18 to 20 points on that team. All right, last up, Kyrie.
Gordon Hayward and Kemba.
Yeah, 23.7 for Kyrie going up against the greatest point guard of all time, Steph Curry.
Steph was also a late bloomer, but he has had 30 points per game seasons, and he also has been the number 1 scoring option on his team aside from the Kevin Durant years. So I'm going to say Curry's higher.
Way to end off strong, Alex. Steph Curry,
Like to see that.
24.8 points for his career, wrapping up the list. Yeah, so that'll do it for today's episode. Alex, very good showing. Like I said, that was hard. I'll
take it. I'm pissed about that Kevin Durant one. I was a stupid call by me, but the rest of them happy.
Just the differences, like there were 2 of them that were separated by 0.3, and then LeBron and KD separated by 0.2 points. So absolutely nuts. And then you did get the bonus question right, knowing that Luka leads all active players with highest career points per game. That's crazy. It'll be interesting to see if when Luka retires, if he still holds that number, or if he comes down a little bit. So thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Hoopers Lounge with myself and Alex, and we will catch y'all next week. Peace out.
Peace.